Hello YouTube. This video is going to be about the Nerf shotguns, specifically the Quaddammit Mark I. There is a Mark II, it's already built, but that's my friend's Rob's. He's the one that currently owns that one. Anyway, this is the world's first semi-automatic Nerf shotgun. And by shotgun, I mean it actually does fire shot, not darts. The shot being earplugs that we've cut in half so that we have little pellets, and each shot fires between 14 to 16 pellets, which are loaded into these tubes here. You take the thing, you roll it up between your fingers, you just drop it in. And you do this 14 to 16 times per tube. Every time you pull the trigger, the entire tube fires. It doesn't fire one pellet at a time, it fires all of them. So, for all intents and purposes, you get thrown at you every time you shoot. Actually, probably about that hard too. But anyway, here is the Quaddammit Mark I. Give you a good look at that. And here's a quick run through of it. This back here is the CO2 regulator, the first stage CO2 regulator, which then goes through a second stage CO2 regulator that brings it down to about 80 psi. The first stage is at about 200, actually about 250 psi before I regulate it back down with the second stage regulator. It then goes through into this expansion chamber, which I've covered in the arm cannon one, allows the shot to warm up a little bit, and it gives the repeatability of shots, so that when you pull the trigger, this is already partially full, and it doesn't evacuate the entire thing every shot. So when you pull the trigger, it only has to refill that last little bit, but it's still capable of firing a second and a third and a fourth follow-up shot without having to totally evacuate and wait for it to recharge. There is a pressure gauge here, and there's also a relief valve on here set at 100 psi, so that if due to thermal expansion of the CO2, if it ever does get above 100 psi, it'll blow off any excess pressure. The CO2 then goes up into this little conglomerate of parts here that we refer to as the banjofold. My friend Rob will get a kick out of that one. It also, the lower part here where these are sticking out of, this is a manifold where the shot is actually controlled by these 4 valves. But it also feeds through this pipe for an extra expansion chamber. So we have 2 expansion chambers on this. It's a significant volume here. We have this one and this one. And then, like I said, these 4 right here are the valves that actually fire the shot. Go out to the quick disconnects, which go like that, and then to reload them, you just pop them off. And like I said, I carry about 40 to 50 of those on me during the battle so that I can just reload on the fly. Because you're not going to sit there and reload these tubes in the middle of the battle. It's just not going to happen. Okay, now on to what some people have asked for, a more in-depth overview of the electronics. When the green light is on, The green tube is about to fire. It then cycles to blue, then white, then red, and back to green again. So I can tell at a glance how many shots I fired, because sometimes you'll shoot once or twice, then duck behind cover because people are shooting back at you, and you forget, did I shoot once? Did I shoot twice? Did I shoot 3 times? So quick glance, you know where you're at. And when it's normally next to my body, like this, other people don't really see the light as much as I can, because I can just look down. But because it's against my body, and unless I'm wearing a highly reflective shirt, it doesn't really give away what shot number I'm on. But it's a nice convenience for me. The circuit board is something I picked up from Radio Shack, but the actual components I wired up myself, and it's basically a simple decade counter. There's a decade counter here and a 555 timer here. Again, some audio cables because I love my audio cables. A 12-volt battery that all this battery does is supply power to the valves. So when the decade counter cycles, it opens a valve. It's on a square wave, so like when it goes up, it cycles the valve, and when it comes back down, it cycles the LED. So there's every other half of the trigger pull. So like on the trigger pull in, it cycles the valve. On the trigger pull out, it cycles the LED. The 9-volt battery just supplies power to the board. That's all it does. This is just a wiring terminal that my buddy Rob absolutely hates, but I thought it was awesome, so I had to put it in there. It's all held down by Velcro. The body of the gun itself is made out of aluminum. It's not really that heavy. It weighs about 5 pounds total. Actually, it's a little bit more than that, but not by a whole lot. It's actually quite nice. It's very well balanced. I have it in this bullpup configuration so that most of the weight is actually behind my hand, and it actually makes it really balanced. And it's also compact, so it keeps my profile relatively short. But that's pretty much it for the Quaddammit semi-automatic shotguns. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer them. And have a good one.